Give a man a program, trusted him for a day. Teach a man how to program, trusted him for a lifetime. This is a quote by Muhammad Wasim, which we all laugh upon because we have all gone through that one bug which doesn't want to get solved. So, how many of you still fight it with every day, or how many of you leave it on that day only? Good evening, everyone. It's good to see so many students present here for Programming Mantra by none other than Mr. Raj Karan Singh, who is Head of Department of Programming in Lovely Professional University. He will be interacting with all of you today to enlighten you about various topics such as which programming language to choose, how to become a professional programmer, and so on. There's a difference between a programmer and a coder. You expect a coder to write a code for a problem given, but a programmer is expected to design a solution for the problem, which includes brainstorming with the problem, then designing the solution, and then coding it. It is our great pleasure that we have a mentor like Mr. Raj Karan Singh, so we have a wonderful chance to unpuzzle any question that ever came to our mind related to programming. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Raj Karan Singh to inspire you to become a better programmer. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. So, how are you guys? I hope I'm audible to everyone in the audience. And guys, we can communicate two ways. We can use the chat window here, and we can also use the unmute, or you can use your microphones as well, right? So, it's good to be interacting with quite a few students. I believe everyone who has joined the session here is an enthusiast programmer. So according to me, programming is inherent. Inherent means you see a problem and you would like to solve it. So it's much more than to do with something a computer can do. It's more than something that is technical. It's something that comes from within. You see a problem and you want to solve it. You see a problem and you think that you are going to write a solution to it, or you are going to devise a solution to it. Computer just gives us the ability to write a program. It just helps us in solving a particular problem. So I would rather do it with the help of a computer than do it manually. That's the mantra for a computer programmer, according to me. So if you look around you, everything that is there that's running on your computer is a program. You take the literal meaning of program, you say that it's nothing but a set of instructions. So you would see that everything that we do in our daily life turns out to be a program. It turns out to be an algorithm. It turns out to be a process. It turns out to be a procedure. It turns out to be a function. It turns out to be a subroutine. It turns out a means to an end. So this is what I believe. This is what drives someone to do coding. Um, the question that I get asked by newbies, I'm not just saying you guys are newbies, I'm saying to a person who doesn't know computer science that well is it easy to program? Yes, it is easy to program. Can you write something in any language? If you can write something in any language, you can definitely write a program. So why do many people feel that programming is tedious? The reason many people feel that programming is tedious, according to me, is because we are not paying attention. We get distracted by negativity. We get distracted by a lot of thoughts. For me, to be a good programmer, you have to be positive. You have to take away all the negativity from you, and you have to be positive of in the face of problems. You have to go ahead and you have to make sure that you can deliver a solution, right? So I'm saying Venkatesh is saying voice is not loud. Let me try to adjust my settings here. Let's see if that solves the problem for you. Right. So is it any better, Venkatesh? Are you able to hear me a little better than before? Is the voice okay? Is something that I'm going to write it down here? Okay, great. Great. So Venkatesh, okay, right. So I just adjusted my volume, so the microphone volume. So it must be fine for everyone, I think. Right. Okay. So we were discussing about positivity. If you are positive, if you believe you can do it, then you can be a good programmer. For people who are not that positive, I don't say they can be good programmers, but then if you can bring positivity in your work, if you can see the positives, if you can believe in yourself, you would be a good programmer. Look at the things around us today, guys. Look at the world struggling with COVID-19. All of us are confined to our homes. We can't come to the university, we can't go out, we can't meet our friends, we can't go to malls, right? It's the lockdown period for us. So this is the time when negativity is at the highest.
Okay.
So what I'll do is, is it fine if I stop my video? It will make the connection last a little longer, I think.
Yes, sir. It will be fine. No problem.
Oh, right. So I'm going to stop my video then. Okay, so guys, I was discussing about the importance of positive thinking, the impact of positive thinking. So I would request everyone not to pay attention to the negative things that might be circulating amongst your friend circles. You hear a couple of people saying world is coming to an end. No, it is not the case. You see some negative news in the media. Please ignore it, right? Remember, we are coders. We should be positive. So coding is an attitude. Of course, it's an art, but I would say coding is an attitude, right? And our attitude should be positive. So this is what I believe. Now, among the many questions that arise is the following. We tend to think we tend to sometimes think too much, whether I would be able to solve a particular problem, whether I would be able to land a particular job, whether I would be able to crack a particular package, whether I would be able to get a job at all or not. So these are some of the questions that are there in everyone's mind. I'm not talking about a fresher. I'm not talking about a student who has just joined computer science. I'm not talking about a professional who has had a 10 to 15 years of experience. This is the general mindset for everyone. For a first year student, this could be the question: will I be able to solve the problem? Will I be able to get good marks? For a professional, the questions are there, but they could be different. Would I be able to make it the cut to the promotion? Would I be able to get promoted? Would I be able to get a salary hike? For a fresher, the questions will be there, but they will be different. Would I be able to get an internship? Would I be able to get a job? The important thing is, if you believe in yourself, if your coding skills are good, if your technical skills are good, you would be able to get everything. You'll be able to solve that program. You will be able to get that internship. You will be able to land that offer. You will be able to get that promotion. So it all starts from the attitude. Believe in yourself, right? I would like to really know the audience that is there. So can somebody tell me which year are you in, right? So in the chat window in front of you, please go ahead and please type out which year are you from. It could be first year, could be second year, third year, fourth year. Please feel free to type it. Okay, Pooja says she's from second year. Good. Okay, first year, BCS second year, first year, third year, second year, right? First year, fourth year, third year. Great. So we have a good mix of people. So I think first year would be thinking, which technical skills should I focus on? A fourth year would be having the same question. What companies would I be looking into? What would happen? What would be the effect of this pandemic? For first, second, and third year students, what could also be the question is, which programming language should I use? Is it fine? Is C, C++ still being used? Or shall I use Python? Shall I go in for Java? Shall I go in for the co-programming language? I'm just going to discuss a little bit of everything here, right? And if you have any specific questions, I have my chat window open. Please feel free to ask them. Okay, let's begin with a programming language, right? All of us know that in order for us to land the most lucrative job there is in tech, that is being a coder. Now, remember, everything starts from being a coder. If you are a good coder, if you can build products, if you can build software, then everything else is simply there to support the program. Software testing is there to help test the software that has been built. The business model in a particular company, in a tech company, is most likely the coding model, right? You build up a software product, that is the product there. So let's come back to our programming language. Is C good? C is definitely good. C can be used in a variety of situations. You can solve almost all coding problems that are there on any platform using the C language, but it has a limitation. If you want to do anything, for most of the things, you will not find built-in things. You would not find something called as the standard template library, which is there in C++. So you would need to code everything by hand. So this is both a blessing as well as a problem. The blessing in disguise here is that since you will be coding everything, your concepts will become amply clear. It will become, absolutely clear, because you would be implementing everything from scratch. So somebody gives you a variation of a problem that is there, you will be able to solve it, right? So somebody wants to ask you a binary search question, you would have to implement binary search. In case of a language such as C, let's come down to C++. So C++ has all the good points of C language. It also adds a few of its own good points. The place where it scores over C language is the standard template library. So if you wanted to do a binary search, you can write your own binary search, but you have the option of using the one that is present in the standard template library. If you wanted to go ahead and code out a linked list, you can do that, but you can use the list from standard template library. Of course, it may not offer you the flexibility that your manual implementation does, but yes, it is there pre-implemented for you. And the benefit of using C and C++ is that both of them are pretty fast. Both of them tend to be ultra fast, beating languages such as Java, beating languages such as Python. Okay, let's come down to Python. What are the plus points of Python? Everything is there in the form of a function. Everything is straightforward. You don't need to deal with the messy curly brackets or the square brackets. You don't need to deal with semicolons. It's not very strict on the syntax and semantics. You can get up and running just by writing a little bit of code. So beginners, or if you have to write a lot of code, Python seems to be an obvious choice. It is a little slow when it comes to comparison with C and C++, but it is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine if you want to deal with the coding problems. I would not recommend leaving Python. It's a good language. You would find most of the machine learning languages, libraries for that, machine learning libraries rather, not languages. They are there in Python, right? Data science, if you want to pursue data science, you'll find that most of the useful libraries are there in Python. Let's talk about Java. Now, Java, I would say it's a midway between Python and C++. So it's a good language. It's fast when compared with Python, relatively fast, I would say. But when it comes down to C++, it's a little on the slower side. Of course, it carries the syntax of C++, and often you will see that programs don't get smaller in C++, they don't get smaller in Java, but they do get small in Python. The Go programming language is a relatively newer programming language, offers a lot of features. I have not seen many of the people using the Go programming language for competitive coding, but yes, it's on the rise, and in a couple of years, you will find that the Go programming language has gained immense popularity. That's my take on these popular programming languages. Of course, we have a lot of other programming languages around. If you're interested in web development, JavaScript is the first language that you should pay attention to. Of course, we have Swift. Of course, there are other programming languages as well. But yes, when it comes to competitive programming, these are the languages that everyone should adhere to. Okay, let's carry our discussion forward. So, first year, second year, third year, if you have the time and you are planning to learn a language from the point of view of handling competitive coding, or maybe you're looking for a job, then this is the right time to learn a programming language in depth, in detail. But what if you are in the third year, you're looking for placements, you're in the fourth year, you're already looking for placements, and what is happening is you don't have that much of time. You know a particular language, you know Python, and you're making a decision. Shall I switch to C++? Shall I switch to C? Shall I switch to Java? I would recommend not to switch. If you're comfortable with the language, stay with that language. What you should do instead is know more about that language. Find out more information about that language. So competitive programming, when we talk about it, it's one of the skills that is required by the companies. Why is it required by the companies? Why is it in demand by the companies? The reason it is in demand by the companies is because students, you need to have good programming skills in order to be a good competitive programmer. You need to have good coding skills. You need to have good knowledge of data structures. You need to have good knowledge of algorithms. You combine them together, put them in one package, you get a competitive coder. And this is the skill set that any IT or tech company is looking for. A lot of platforms don't give Python as a language. Yes, this is the case. Some of the legacy platforms do not offer Python as a choice, but most of the recent platforms, they have upgraded and Python is available. But yes, if you are working on a legacy means old platform, you might not get Python as a choice. What you might get is C, C++, and Java. These are the three languages that would be most prominent. So I think there are a lot of platforms that have started offering Python, but it could very well be the case. Thank you, Rahul, for pointing it out. It could very well be the case that some of the platforms that a company might be using to evaluate may not offer Python as one of the options. This can all change in the future, but so far there are a few platforms which do not give Python as a language, and these companies would expect you to solve a particular program, right? They'll expect you to solve a particular program within a given time late, come up with an optimized solution. So if Python is not there and Python was the only language you learned, you could be at loss there. But at the same time, I would recommend, let's say you made a decision to stick with Python. You made a decision that come what may, you are going to do Python only. In that case, I would recommend looking for opportunities. Please be positive about it. Your chance will come. Okay, now don't give Python. In which language to switch from Python right now? Let's say you have the time. So I would recommend switching to C++. There are a couple of reasons. The reasons for this same is, first of all, personally, I like C++ more, right? I'm not against any language. I enjoy coding in all languages equally, but I would recommend C++. A lot of competitive programmers use C++. It has got STL. There is good community support as well. Community support means you're looking for a solution to a particular problem. You will find that there is a solution available in C++, and most likely there exists an explanation. Most of the courses that you undertake would also use C++ as the primary language for instruction. You look out a solution, you try implementing a data structure. If you run into any problems, the chances are the solution is coded in C++. It is available, right? So C++ is the obvious choice. If you want to be safe, if you want to have a universal presence, then of course C++ would be offered as one of the options in every platform. Is it possible to place a fresher in data science as an analyst? Venkatesh, yes, it is possible. I would not say anything is impossible. It is possible, but then once again, you need to have a good resume. I would go one step further. I would like to say that you need to have a killer resume. What does a killer resume mean? Killer resume means, first of all, Venkatesh, I forgot which year are you in? Let me tailor this answer to your particular year. Which year are you from? Okay, by the time Venkatesh replies, I would like to state that if you have time, and these days we have lots of time, so I would say pursuing fourth year. Okay, so Venkatesh, this is what you're going to do. Have you done any certifications in data science? Have you completed any certifications in data science, or maybe pursued any MOOCs? So this is the first step that you should take. You should go ahead and you should enroll yourself in certifications. Okay, great. So he has done certifications. The next thing that comes down is projects. Have you worked on good projects which are different from the rest of the people? So I would recommend doing certifications and then bulking up your resume with certain projects which are a little different from the rest of the projects that are there, right? So once you fill up your resume with this column, so this is what we should start working on, projects which are a little different, right? So if I am a recruiter, or I know the mentality of a couple of recruiters, let's say you go to a recruiter, the first thing that goes in most of the situations is your resume. So the first thing that he's going to check is your skill set. Then he's going to look at certification. So certification is nothing but a testament that you know a particular skill, that you're good in a particular skill. So what would happen next is he will look at the certification column. If the certification column is there, then obviously the next way is that you know the concepts, but how well do you know this thing is certified with the help of a project? So if you have a project, the next thing the person begins to notice is, now, is this a common project? Is this a project that I have seen before? Is this a project everyone is doing? If this is the case, and then I start to form a sort of a ranking in my mind. I've seen this project before. Maybe this is not good enough. The other thing that happens if you choose a relatively different topic from everyone, it shows that you stand out from the crowd. You are a little different from the crowd. So I would recommend making projects in whatever field you choose, and these projects should be different from other people. Once you have this, then yes, you can go ahead and you can look for that data science job. It would not be very easy. You will have to wait, but your chance will come. The most apt way, or the good way where you can find a job in data science, would be with a startup. So startups are looking for people who have ready knowledge, and this is where your certifications and projects are going to come into picture. Please remember, most of the startups do not have a very big teams, do not have too many people dedicated to data science. They do not have people dedicated to artificial intelligence. So we need that job. We need to get there. So we need to make sure that our skill set is different from theirs. Okay, let's pick up Shivam's. I'm a first year student. We discuss the right pathway of getting product-based companies like Google and Microsoft. Shivam, one thing that goes for you is that you have a lot of time. You are in the first year right now. So I would recommend that you should take up a programming language of your own choice. If you have not made up your mind, then C++ is the choice for you. I think first year students are studying C++. So for you, C++ is the language. Please try to know more about it, the next thing that I would recommend is go ahead with data structures and algorithms, right? Now, data structures and algorithms would lay down your foundation in problem solving. I would also recommend doing a little bit of quantitative aptitude and mathematics along with it, right? Now, this is one thing that we do not talk about often. Okay, right. I think my responses will not have reached you, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat. So C++ is the obvious choice of a programming language for you. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to concentrate on data structures and algorithms. Lay emphasis on data structures. Please do a practical implementation of data structure. If you get a particular data structure, let's say you have understood the concept behind a linked list, you have understood the concept behind an array, then you should simply go ahead and try to practice it, right? You should try to practice, implement every data structure that you learn. You learn about something called as backtracking. Let's say you learn something uh, as greedy algorithms. You learn the greedy approach to solve a particular problem. You learn the dynamic programming approach to solve a particular problem. The next thing that you should do is you should take up a lot of problems on it. See how greedy solution is different from a dynamic programming solution. It is different from a brute force solution. It's different from a divide and conquer approach. So try to find out why this problem has been characterized as a greedy problem. So this is something that you should do. So coming straight to the question, if you are in the first year, you should focus on learning a programming language in depth. The second thing that you're going to do is learn data structures and algorithms. HackerRank and HackerEarth both have a programming track, they have data structures track, they have algorithms track. So I would recommend you to start solving those questions. Beware, Shivam, you may be able to solve some of the questions out of 10, you may be able to solve 5, 6, you may only be able to solve 1, 2. One thing to remember while coding is if you have written a solution to a problem, it does not make you an expert. If you have not written solution to a particular problem, it does not mean that you can't do coding. It just means that you have to try harder. On one given day, you might pick up 10 problems and you will be or you may be able to solve 10 out of them. On another day, you may be able to solve only a single problem. That does not mean that you are on top of the world. That does not mean you are at the bottom of the world. Try to figure out where I went wrong, what happened, and try to improve it, right? I think everyone, this is how I work. I try to self analyze, where did I go wrong? What can I do to improve? And add a little bit of improvement to yourself, to your skills every day. If you do that, you will find that slowly and steadily your technical skills will grow, right? Nobody becomes an expert in one day. Nobody becomes an expert in 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months. It takes years, right? The earlier you start, the more benefit you would have. It does not mean that if you're in the third year, if you're in the fourth year, this doesn't mean that you have got late. It does mean that you're a little late from the guy who's in the first year or in the second year, but does not make much of a difference, right? I'm quite old to you guys. I have a lot of age. There's a lot of age difference between me and you. I'm still trying to learn. right? So age does not make much of a difference. Okay, so if you do this, Shivam, if you go ahead and you solve a lot of problems, you become good at it, then you would have set yourself up for a company like Google and Microsoft, right? I would also recommend reading the interview experiences of the guys or going through the questions that have been asked in the past interviews of Google and Microsoft. It prepares you mentally. Let me take up the next question. Yatish says, which platform should I use to practice and provides me a real company test-like environment? Right. Now, Yatish, first of all, please tell me which year are you from? Are you from the first year, second, third year, fourth year? Which year do you belong to? Okay, while Yatish replies, let's discuss the solution to it. Okay, okay. So Yatish, what happens is you would get a lot of platforms. HackerRank is there, HackerEarth is there, CodeForces is there. You would find that there is a platform, Geeks for Geeks, which has a lot of questions. It claims to have a lot of questions present which have been asked in the placement drives of companies. There is a platform called Lead Code. So there are a lot of platforms that are there. It all comes down to, I would not say that following a single platform should serve your needs. It all depends on where you are right now. If you have already crossed the beginner stage, what we should do is we should go ahead and we should start doing a little bit of problems from every platform, right? LeetCode has a good collection of questions. Then I should always refer to the questions that have been asked by the companies. You would get those questions. You would get uh, interview experiences from Geeks for Geeks. A lot of questions would be there. So you should always go through them, right? In order to have a real feel of what questions are there or how the company asks those questions, please try to participate in the hiring contests that are there on the HackerEarth. See, nothing bad is going to come out of that participation. If you participate in that hiring contest, there are only two things that would happen. You would either clear their cutoff. If you do clear that cutoff, it's a good thing. You will end up with a job offer, or you will proceed to the next round. And let's say you did not make the cut. If you did not make the cut, you have nothing to lose. You never wanted to go there, or maybe you wanted, but it was not the right time. Try to analyze where you went wrong and work on your weaknesses. That is how you proceed from a weakness level to a strength level. So I would recommend participating in the hiring contests that go on Hacker Earth, right? In the meanwhile, wherever you find any questions which has been asked, whenever you get a chance to interact with someone who has maybe given a couple of interviews. Now these could be your superiors, these could be your seniors, your fourth year students or third year students, your classmates. Please talk to them. Nothing is lost from asking someone's advice, right? And if it is a good advice, you should act upon it. If it's something that you feel is irrelevant, please don't act on it, right? Leave it. Okay, so I would recommend doing a little bit on every platform, and solving the problems that are there on HackerEarth, specifically the hiring challenges. Right. Okay. So Pooja has a question. Data science Kaggle is good or not? For data science, Kaggle is as good as it gets. It's a good platform, right? So I would say for data science, Kaggle is a very good platform. If you can go and if you can participate there, if you can crack Kaggle, you would land up with a job for sure. So I'll go back to what I was saying earlier to a data science question, which this guy asked me. Bit I would recommend, if you can go to Kaggle and crack, you will get a lot of experience. You'll get a lot of experience, and if we can crack Kaggle, that's as good as it gets. Okay, another question. I am a second year student. Which skills should I exactly focus on for placements? See, Sneha, this is a question that I would like to answer in two ways. There are two things that I can do about it. Number one, I should first of all make up my mind. Do I want a coding job, or am I satisfied with a particular specialization? Right? Let's say I want to be a web developer, I want to be a data scientist, I want to be a machine learning engineer. I may want to be a general purpose coder, right? I would recommend this to all students of computer science that we should. This same goes to PCA students, the same goes to MCA students, anything or anyone who is enrolled or is looking to make a career in computer science or tech or IT should have an open mindset. See, guys, IT changes very fast. The lifetime support or long-term support for a particular framework, for a particular library, comes out to be 4 to 5 years, right? Our degree takes about 4 years. It's an industry in which changes are quite rampant. Changes take place very quickly, right? So changes take place very quickly. You would be surprised to find that Amazon was founded or was running or was in its early years of running or early years of its execution in 1994. Google, when it became listed as a company, it was in 1998, right? So if you just count down the years from 1994, it's just 26 years. From 1998, it's just 22 years. And look at what these companies have achieved, right? So growth is exponential in IT, but what is also exponential in IT is the rate at which technologies change. Today I'm, let's say, good in a particular programming language. It's not a certainty that whenever I get work it would be in that programming language, it would be in that framework, it would be using that particular library. This may all change. Even if I get a job, the company may undergo changes and I might be asked to learn something else. So this is something that I should focus on. Now, reasons one of the reasons that product-based companies pay attention to competitive programming of data structures and algorithms or coding is because a person who knows these things, his concepts are clear. So they want a person whose concepts, computer science core concepts, are clear, so that that person can grasp everything very quickly. That's where basics of networking comes in. That's where basics of databases comes in. That's where basics of operating system comes in. Right? So if you have these basics clear, you should be able to crack any job, any technology that comes in, we should be able to adapt it very quickly. So coming back to Sneha's question, which skills should I exactly focus on for placements? If you're looking to be a coder, then you must focus on coding data structures, algorithms. You should be a good competitive coder. If you're looking for a specialization, let's say your specialization is networks and you would rather be a network administrator, you would still require a little bit of coding, but it would not involve hardcore coding. That's what I'm expecting. That's the general job profile for a network administrator. So I would like to get certain certifications. I would like to display those certifications to my potential employers. The CCNA certifications that we have are, are a good value add to anyone's resume looking for a job in networks, right? If you want to be, if you want to seek a job in, let's say, cloud computing, then you should have the Amazon AWS certifications. You could also end up with an Azure certification. You could go ahead and do GCP certifications. So it all depends on where you want to take your career. For campus placements, let's say you are a student who is looking to get hired from the campus. For campus placements, the most of the companies that are going to come, most of the product-based companies which are going to come to the campus are going to look for this particular skill set, competitive coding. So Sneha, I've given the option to you. If it is coding, Please make sure you're focusing on coding, problem solving, data structures, algorithms. If it's a specialization, if it's a special skill set, let's say you have set your eyes on becoming a data scientist, you have set your eyes on becoming a machine learning engineer, take care of these two things. Try to learn as much as possible about the technology, do the top certifications, and make cutting edge projects. So, Venkatesh, without coding, can we have a job in software? Is it possible? Yes, you can have a job without coding, Venkatesh. It's not that coding is everything. It's not that coding is everything. It's a lot of things, but I would not say that if you don't know coding, you can't have a job in software. Another field that is coming up very much in the recent time is the field of automation, right? The field of automation, such as robotic process automation or RPA, this is offered by Automation Anywhere. This is there in our university as well. So if you go ahead and if you delve deep down in RPA, you will find that it requires coding or scripting only to a particular extent. If you want to be a network administrator, this is another place, as I mentioned earlier as well, where coding would not play much of a significant part. If you want to be a a job seeker in cloud computing, you would find that just to set up a cloud, you would need to know a lot of concepts, but then again, you may not be required to do hardcore coding. If you want to go ahead and if you want to be an expert in tools such as Informatica, then again, you would not be required to do hardcore coding, right? So yes, of course, a little bit of coding is required for everyone, right? But then again, some people are keen on doing hardcore coding. They want to do everything hardcore, right? Write big programs, working on the consoles and everything. And there are people who are fascinated by some other things. So yes, Pooja, I do agree with you. A little bit of coding must be known for everyone, but that doesn't mean that if you don't know coding, you will be out of the industry or you would not be getting job in software as well. Yes, there would be jobs. They would be little limited. What happens is, in my opinion, and what I have seen over the years is, if you know coding, it opens up a lot of options for you. You can have decoding jobs, and you can always learn the non-coding jobs as well, right? But on the other hand, if you don't know coding, then it's kind of limiting me from attempting the coding jobs. So that's the trade-off, right? So that's a very good thing, Pooja. You're from mechanical and you love coding. That's a very good thing. It's a little, I would say, combination that we do not find often. But yes, if you like coding, if you want to be a good coder, does not matter which stream you are from. You can be from a mechanical, you can be from civil, you can be from anything. It's not that coders or coding is reserved to computer science. It's open for everyone. You can be a good coder. In fact, from mechanical engineering, there are quite a lot of guys who are BTech, ME, and occupying top positions in tech industry, right? So I think I answered Venkatesh his question. Okay, let's move on. Right, some of the best automated tool courses you should check out Automation Anywhere. They have a lot of courses, right? That's not the only tool that is there, but Automation Anywhere is coming up. It's an Indian company which has come up by leaps and bounds in the times there. Okay, let me take up another question then. Do communication skills play an important role in IT industry? Say, communication skills play an important role in every industry as in IT industry. See, what happens is most of the industry is based on you interacting with, I would divide the group of people into two groups. You would either talk to the client or you would talk to the internal employees. Now, if you talk to the client, you need to be able to understand their perspective. and communicate it to your internal team. And you also need to be able to convey whatever your team is doing to the client, right? So if you are in such a role, your communication skills will play a big part. Let's look at the other picture. You have your team has made a software, and now maybe you need to pitch it to the client. So this is where communication skills will play a very important role. If you understand what the limitations of your software are, and you're able to go ahead and portray it to the prospective clients in a positive way, it's going to have a positive impact. At the same time, you should be able to grasp what their requirements are and convey. Let's say they promote you and you have become a team manager. You've got a coding job, and you become a team manager. So what happens in that case is you should have a very good communications skill to keep the team together, to make sure to understand how to convey your point across to the entire team, and how to convey their points to the upper management. Let's go down a little bit. Let's say you're starting off. So how does communication skills play an important part here? So if you're starting off, what happens next is you would need good communication skills in order to convey your points to your colleagues and to your team manager, and maybe to the higher management. So of course, communication skills play a very important role. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Srikar is asking, what is the path to be good in data structures and algorithms? Okay, in order to be good in data structures and algorithms, what you need to do is you need to go ahead and make sure that you read extensively, you understand what a particular data structure does, what are its strengths, what are its weaknesses, and you need to be able to implement it, right? Somebody wakes you in the middle of the night and asks you to code out a particular data structure, be it a binary tree, be it a binary search tree, be it a balanced binary search tree, you should be able to do it. Okay, so how do you get good in data structures and algorithms? Of course, read about it, practice. That's how you get good into it. Is there a shortcut to it? There is no shortcut to be good in data structures and algorithms. So what I would do is, let's say I have read about a particular data structure, I have read about a particular algorithm. The next thing I should do is I should head over to a platform of my choice. It could be HackerRank, it could be HackerEarth, it could be CodeForces, it could be CodeShift, anything that I like, and I should try and solve at least 5, 10, 15 problems on it, right? I should be able to understand why did I use a linked list, which data structure should I use in a particular situation, and which data structure would give me what kind of advantage, right? So this is how you can be good in data structures and algorithms. Okay, exactly. codeItDown is doing a wonderful job when it comes to data structures and algorithms. These are my special group of students who realize the importance of competitive programming, of data structures and algorithms. They have taken up this initiative, and I fully support them in this endeavor. They have taken up this initiative to spread the message of data structures and algorithms of coding as a whole to everyone. So kudos to the codeItDown team. We pick up another one. If we do a lot of practice in competitive programming and DSLGO, then we need to build any projects? Smith Mitsri is asking it, or just winning contest is enough? And also, what other skills are required except programming? Okay, right. So let's say if you're doing competitive programming, then most of the time would be taken up by competitive coding, right? Do I need to focus on projects? I would say yes, you would need to focus on projects. There are two things here. If you want to be a potato, remember potato mixes in everything, right? Everything, everything that you plan to make, you can safely put a potato in it. If you want to be open to a lot of job opportunities, yes, you should focus on projects as well. On the other hand, if you are exceptionally good in coding, you have a very good hold on competitive programming, then you may skip projects altogether. Then it might be enough to carry you forward, right? Let's say that you participated in one of the prestigious competitions. Remember, ICPC is a very prestigious competition. Let's say you advanced to a very good state, you advanced to regionals. Let's say you went a step further. Do you think anyone is going to care about the projects that you have built? That's where the projects would take a second stage, right? But let's say I didn't get chance to participate in ICPC. I did not get time to showcase my skills in a contest. Then what should I do? I should keep my competitive programming skills and I should build projects as well. I remember, project is a finished product. It tells the person who is looking at your resume that you can implement and understand these things that are there in the project, right? That is why the projects are important. Somebody is hiring you to do something, and if you have done it already, it makes the life, or it makes the decision for that person very easy. Okay, advantages of using Java in competitive programming. Java is a good language, right? I would rate it equal to C++ in competitive programming. So if you are comfortable in Java, I would recommend you can continue in Java, right? Analogous to STL, Java offers arrayless and quite a few other things. If you don't want to deal with pointers, I tend not to deal with pointers in competitive programming. I personally like pointers though. So Java is a good choice there, right? But it would be a little on the slower side, right? I would recommend Java to a person who likes Java, who does not have enough time to shift to any other programming language. So I would not recommend that you should unlearn Java and learn another programming language, right? The real advantages of using Java is a lot of software that was developed in the last couple of years. The development was done in Java. So there is a lot of support that is available, a lot of software that is there in Java. You can, lot of libraries that are there in Java, so you can easily build projects using the Java programming language. Okay, so Anush is asking, companies are interested in using low code or no code platforms. Yes, low code or no code seems to be the trend these days. They are interested in using these platforms. But remember, if you are going to use code, you get the flexibility. If you want a particular feature, you can go ahead and you can get that feature very quickly, right? All you need to do is you can always build everything from scratch. That is the power of code, right? You can go ahead and you can get anything built right from scratch. It's very flexible, which may not be the case otherwise, right? Okay, which type of projects are to be done? Rahul, any project that is different from the ones that has already been done. So sentiment analysis or Twitter sentiment analysis is something that's quite popular. Then if we go ahead and talk about library management systems or hospital management systems, they're quite popular. What I would recommend is, let's say you are into game development. So you would not like to build Tetris. It's been done quite a lot of times. You would not like to build tic-tac-toe. You would like to build something that's different, right? I think most of us play games. So just think about it. Which game would you like to play? Something that has been there or which is similar to everything that you have done? Or would you like to do something that is different? The answer is you would like to play a game that is different and engaging. So that's how your project should be. Okay, pointers is always a headache for me. How can I get the concepts of pointers efficiently? See, Pointers are a little tricky. Pointers are a little tricky, I would say, but you can they are the reason C and C++ have that strength. They have that flexibility. You can manage memory efficiently, right? So while learning pointers, Anamika, please remember there are two things that you need to consider: the ampersand, address of operator, the asterisk, value at address. If you remember this, remember the other thing, the next thing. These are the two things that I remembered that clarified quite a few concepts about the pointers for me. I remembered that a normal variable uh, is there in the memory. It occupies a normal value. Point is also there in the memory, but instead of the value, it holds the address. Right? These are the two things that I always keep in mind whenever I get confused, whenever I am trying to find out the output of a particular question. Let's say there's a program involving pointers and I have to state its output. These are the two things I always keep in mind, and I would get the answer. I would recommend another thing as well to Anamika. What happens is, beta, if you get confused while using pointers, draw a diagram. Draw a diagram which has a rectangle. In that rectangle, put the variable, put shade that portion. In that shaded portion, what you should do is you should store the value of the variable, make another shaded area for the pointer, and make it point to that variable, right? Then begin analyzing the statement one by one. What would happen? You do it once, you do it twice, you do it three times, your doubts about pointers will vanish, right? Okay, so any further questions for me, guys? Okay, so codeItDown has already said that they are going to take a session on pointers. So Anamika, there goes your problem. They will be helping you out, right? Okay, another thing, guys, I want to once again state the importance of being positive. There's a pandemic going on. A lot of you would be thinking whether the jobs are available, whether there would be recession. So I just want to point out that yes, there is going to be a recession, but the industry which would not get too much affected by a recession is going to be the IT industry, right? Utilize this lockdown period for working on your skill set. Do a couple of certifications. Work on your coding skills. Take lessons from codeItDown, right? From teams like codeItDown, people who are trying to upskill yourself. Once everything opens up, once things go back to normal, what might happen is we might need to showcase our skills. We might need to answer a few elevated questions. So we should be prepared for it. Hats off to this group who is making an effort. Hats off to people who are trying to learn. This is the time when we should work on our skill set, right? So I wish all of you a very good luck in your endeavor. I wish codeItDown a happy journey ahead, right? And I wish happy learning to all the people who are learning from codeItDown. Please remember, I am with you guys, right? If there are any problems, you can feel free to approach me. I'll try to handle them as efficiently as possible. I received a message from someone asking me about how to use a flag in Java, right? We can take it up later. I would take it up later, right? Anything else for me, team code it up?
Thank you, sir. Just give us a minute. I'm unmuting Rhythm.
Sure, but
Rhythm, I hope you're audible to us.
Everyone, am I audible?
Yes, Rhythm, you're audible.
Okay. Actually, this session was a very wonderful one. We got to know so many key points. If we believe in ourselves, we can program. That was the main key point of this session. Positive thinking. Then we got to learn about which language to choose: C, C++, Java, Python. Which one we have to go with? Then you can always do better programming if you understand the concept, like the basic concept. You understand of the programming, then you will be able to get the much efficient answer out of it. Sir, thank you so much for being here, for telling us how to be a programmer actually, and which language, or taking up all our doubts that we all had. And that was a very wonderful and knowledgeable session. Thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome, Peter. Happy to be here. Happy to be interactive.
Sir, thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time.
Most welcome, Peter.
A lot of queries got resolved. Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining.